TikTok restored service to users in the United States just hours after the popular video sharing platform went dark in response to a federal ban. The announcement on X came after Donald Trump said on Sunday that he planned to pause the ban by executive order. Mr. Trump says that the order would give TikTok's China based parent company more time to find an approved buyer. Millions of U.S. TikTok users were unable to access the app and platform starting late Saturday. But by Sunday afternoon, a message greeted those who signed in, thanking them and President elect for their support. Joining me now is Andrew Donaldson, editor at ordinarytimes.com, to discuss the ban and the future of the social media platform. Andrew, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
Now, Mr. Trump was initially in favor of the ban, and then he kind of reverse uno'd a little bit and is now planning to make an extension for the deal to be made. What do you make of this reversal?
Well, it's not just Trump. You would need a very large flow chart with a lot of tabs and colors to get all the U.S. politicians that are moving back and forth on this one. What we're seeing here is very much a lobbying effort that we have seen from the TikTok folks. The CEO of TikTok has been at Mar-a-Lago meeting with Trump since the election. We have seen this move from Trump himself being against TikTok and for the ban to moving to push this. And now we have this little bit of political theater where TikTok took down their service and put it back up and credited Trump. This is all very much a lobbying effort and a supreme lesson in political gamesmanship on how to get what you want done. And it's been very effective. This did not just happen overnight. This was very much planned. Somebody got in Trump's ear. Trump has changed position. And a lot of people supporting Trump, especially here in the first day of his presidency, are going to follow suit.
And Republican lawmakers like Senator Tom Cotton and even Mike Johnson has said that the expectation is that the law will still be enforced. Now, would you say this happening is showing that there's a bit of a rift in the Republican Party?
There's not yet, but there could be. Now, this is the early days of the administration, so they're going to try to keep this under wraps. But China is one of those issues where there are people that are going to have some very strong principles that, even though they're very Trumpian, even though they support Donald Trump, even though they're very much in the MAGA agenda and been supporters, China's a red line for a lot of people. So, as the administration goes on, remember, Donald Trump is still a lame duck president. He'll ride high on the early days of administration, but this is something like China does have the potential to break some people off, especially U.S. senators that are going to be U.S. senators after Donald Trump leaves office. That potential is there, and how they handle this is very important because, again, the national security aspects of this and that, they really believe that. So while Trump will see this as a reciprocal business deal to try to get American interests involved, they probably mean it, and it could become a riff if it's not handled very carefully.
Now, I don't think a lot of people actually understand why the app is being banned. So, would you mind walking us through why Congress passed this law to force TikTok to sell?
Well, it's very political, obviously, like we talked about. But this started actually with Donald Trump coming out against TikTok. This all goes to China and the geopolitics of that, China controlling TikTok, and of course, the impression that they do and that the algorithm is somehow controlled in China itself, although the company says they don't. Nobody really believes them. That's the politics behind this. So Congress went and passed a law, and the Supreme Court back at the end of last week upheld that law, saying yes, they have to either divest or sell it and not basically, at least ostensibly, be under the control of the Chinese communist government, which Americans think is a dictatorship and acts like a dictatorship. And of course, there's the privacy data, and there's the fact that TikTok's not even allowed in China, so it comes across as something that can be very malicious if they're not really careful about it. So that's what got us to this point. It was gone through Congress, it has been ruled as a law, and now we're going to have the negotiation, and Donald Trump sees himself as the supreme negotiator about trying to get American interests to take charge of this thing. Otherwise, they're going to ban it. This is a leverage play, and they use the law and they use the government to do it.
Now, with the negotiation happening, is there a chance that TikTok won't be forced to sell and can stay in the US? And if that does happen, what does that mean for national security?
Well, TikTok is going to exist. We know that now. They've already basically said you had Trump pitching this 50% rule, which I don't think the Chinese interests are going to go for that. But that already kind of tips the hand of, and it kind of comes across as nice app you got there. Be ashamed something happened to it, but it'll be less of a national security threat and less of a free speech threat if we get our cut. That's how it comes across. So there's going to be a negotiation here. There's going to be an effort. We saw at the inauguration all of those tech titans sitting there, plenty of them would like to get their hands on this. Remember, this is a huge audience. It's a audience that's the hardest to get a hold of politically, very young people, and it's a lot of money involved. So American interests are want to get a hold of that. Donald Trump is adherent to that. He has been told that that helps him with young people, and he probably believes that. I think you're going to see it. So this is going to be one of those things where you get through the noise by following the money. Whoever buys this thing, and if the government blesses them buying it, which they're going to have to get around the law, that's where you're going to find the truth of who's really controlling this and who's seeing it. Follow the money. It's going to get you to the truth of all the noise underneath the national security and free speech and all that that we're being told about.
Andrew, thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.